Greetings, minions, and welcome back once again to our playthrough of the 39 Steps with me, the Flaming Monocle, and my very, very good friend, T-Dude.
Hello.
Without further ado, we shall continue, for Richard Hannay's escape is imminent, we believe. Well,
And lengthy.
damaged and intoxicated, Hannay escapes the clutches of the Black Stone, but they know he is nearby.
But whereabouts, we don't know.
If you haven't watched up to this point, I suggest you start from part 1.
Yeah,
Otherwise, enjoy the ride. Click. Downward spiral.
Well, at the moment, he's on top of a thing, so maybe this implies that he
Falls off.
He rolls off due to bored, drunken stupor.
So he climbed to the top of a dovecot, which is this thing,
Yes.
which is great. I woke with a burning head and the sun glaring in my face. I tell you what
What an
cold and
idiot.
stiff or hot and...
Cold and stiff, I'm sunburnt and drunk and...
For a long time I lay motionless, for those horrible fumes seemed to have loosened my joints and dulled my brain.
Nothing could dull your brain, Hannay. You're a clever man.
There was a little gap in the parapet to which I wriggled, and from which I had some sort of prospect of the yard. I love how he's just moved like 200 metres. I saw figures come out, a servant with his head bound up, and then a younger man in knickerbockers.
Glory.
I saw the rotund figure of my late captor, and I thought I made out the man with the lisp. I noticed that all had pistols. They were looking for something, and moved towards the mill.
Maybe they're looking for you, Hannay.
I couldn't think what they were looking for.
Maybe they lost their love.
For half an hour they ransacked the mill. Then they came outside and stood just below the dovecot, arguing fiercely.
We went that way, another way.
I heard them fiddling with the door of the dovecot, and for one horrid moment I fancied they were coming up. Then they thought better of it, and went back to their house.
That was that downward spiral, I suppose.
It's like we spent half an hour looking through the mill, but don't look at the giant dovecot. After all that long blistering afternoon, I lay baking on the rooftop.
Like a pretzel. Some time
I
passed.
was buggered. Thirst was my chief torment. My tongue was like a stick.
Brown.
I watched the course of the little stream as it came in from the moor. I would have given £1,000 to plunge my face into that. Don't take that out of context. Oh no. I saw the car speed away with 2 occupants and a man on a hill pony riding east.
Which is very unmanly.
I wished them joy of their quest.
In a sarcastic way, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, because, you know.
If that aeroplane came back, the chances were 10 to 1 that I'd be discovered. So through the afternoon I lay and prayed for the coming of darkness.
Well, if no one is around, you're good.
Escape health appearance.
Yeah, what's your escape like?
It seemed to me that the sooner I got in touch with the Foreign Office man, Sir Walter Bullivant, the better. He must just take or leave my story, and anyway, with him I'd be better hands than those devilish Germans. I'd begun to feel quite kindly towards the British police. My plan was to seek Mr. Turnbull's cottage, recover my garments, and especially Scudder's notebook, then make for the main line and get back to the south.
I was burnt.
My shoulder was in a bad way. At first I thought it was only a bruise, but it seemed to be swelling, and I had no use of my left arm. I had a crushing headache and felt as sick as a cat. Those lentonite fumes had fairly poisoned me, and the baking hours of the dovecot hadn't helped matters.
I look dreadful.
I look exploded. I had neither coat, waistcoat, collar, nor hat, my trousers were barely torn, and my face and hands were black with the explosion. I dare say I had other beauties, for my eyes felt as if they were furiously bloodshot.
Oh.
So he's all coming up Hannay at the moment.
As long as he's got his underwear.
My underwear was on fire. Thank God it was a black night. 'Tis
You shall not pass!
only a flesh wound. My thirst was too great to allow me to tarry, so about 9 o'clock, as so far as I could judge, I started to descend.
Must be painful.
Indeed. Halfway down, I heard the back door of the house open and saw the gleam of a lantern against the mill wall.
I scrambled up like a gecko.
For some agonizing minutes, I hung by the ivy and prayed that whoever it was would not come by the dovecot.
To see a man with a burnt arse hanging by some ivy.
Then the light disappeared, and I dropped as softly as I could onto the hard soil of the yard. I crawled on my belly in the lee of a stone dike till I reached the fringe of trees which surrounded the house. I was in a pretty bad way.
It wasn't good.
Oh, I was nearly dead. 10 minutes later, my face was in the spring, and I was soaking down pints of the blessed water. I did not stop until I put 6 miles between me and that accursed dwelling.
And he scuttled up.
Look at those
That's
things.
a moon.
The moon yesterday was about the size of your thumbnail, and now it's about the size of your face. I sat down and took stock of my position. It wasn't that good, to be honest.
I am here.
Sir Harry's map had given me the lie of the land. All I had to do was steer a point or two west of southwest to come to the stream where I'd met the roadman. I calculated I must be about 18 miles distant, and that meant I could not get there before morning. So he's got to dig a hole again and just...
Yeah, I suppose so. He hasn't had much food for a while.
He hasn't had any whiskey for like a day or two as well. It's
It was night, then day, then night.
He must be sober by now.
I don't know. His blood must be,
Very soon after daybreak, I made an attempt to clean myself in a hill burn, and then approached a herd's cottage, for I was feeling the need of food.
There better be an ally there. You can't be lucky all the time.
Hello, Mr. Hannay, we meet again. Luckily, there were explosives in this house as well.
What's happened to you?
Forgive me. I've taken a pretty bad fall.
Come in.
You lucky sod.
Yeah, see?
The herd's wife, the Samaritan. Like a true Samaritan, she asked no questions, but gave me a bowl of milk with a dash of with a dash of whiskey in it.
So closely, Tito.
Oh, I was nearly sober, and let me sit for a little by her kitchen fire. She would have bathed my shoulder, but it ached so badly I would not let her touch it.
You wimp.
Yeah, you wuss. She was a decent old body, and a plucky one. For though she got a fright when she saw me, she had an axe handy, and would have used it on any evildoer. I don't know what she took me for. A repentant burglar, perhaps.
Oh, Mr. Hannay, I don't think you look like a burglar. You just look like a fried idiot.
Fugitive, yes. She showed me how to wrap the plaid around my shoulders, and when I left the cottage, I was the living image of the kind of Scotsman you see in the illustrations to the Burns
poems. As in...
Robbie Buns.
Yeah.
Robert the
Please.
Burns.
Take this as payment
What
for
are
your
you giving
hospitality.
No. Keep your siller. No. Give it to them that he recht it. Oh, recht then, if you insist. Tak my plead and... this old hat that belonged to my man.
Oh. What happened to your man? Nobody
He fell
cares.
victim to drink.
I passed over the miseries of that night among the wet hills. Twice I lost my way and had some nasty falls into peat bogs. I fell into peat bogs. I'd only about 10 miles to go as the crow flies, but my mistakes made it nearer 20. The last bit was completed with set teeth and a very light and dizzy head.
Rain in places.
Approaching southerly, 6 or 7. Outlook good. But I managed it, and in the early dawn I was knocking at Mr. Turnbull's door. Oh, I'm really drunk again. Would you mind doing some rope? No.
This is like... You're just stumbling around the Scottish
Where are
countryside.
ye that come stravaiging here in the Sabbath morning?
My head was swimming so wildly that I could not frame a coherent answer, but he recognised me. What are you
Have you
doing?
got my specs?
I fetched them out of my trouser pocket.
You'll have come for your jacket and waistcoat. Come on by. Wash, man, you're terrible down to the legs. Hold up till I get you to a cheer.
Hold this pistol to your head.
Hannay's ruined the guy's clothes, but the guy has probably kept his waistcoat and everything.
I dare say
Perfect
that
condition.
Hannay can probably pay for the stuff that he's ruined.
Oh, yeah.
I had a good deal of fever in my bones, and the wet night had brought it out, while my shoulder and the effects of the fumes combined to make me feel pretty bad. The violin music didn't help. I perceived I was in for a bout of malaria.
Oh, come on.
English malaria, British malaria. Before I knew, Mr. Turnbull was helping me off with my clothes and putting me into bed with one of the two... Putting me to bed in one of the two cupboards. Okay, I didn't read that wrong. That lined the kitchen walls.
So
You
sleeping
can
in
go
the
to bed in the cupboard.
You got in the pantry.
No, yeah, you hear
Stay away from the whiskey.
He was a true friend in need, that old road man. I passed out for 20 years.
Listening to...
Oh, and that's the end of that chapter. Gosh, Mr. Hannay does seem to get himself out of a few pickles, doesn't he?
Yes, well, I mean, that's... You know, he's a curious type that's wrapped up in this giant Blackstone conspiracy.
Indeed. But he's got some chums.
Very lucky, really. You don't usually get that in a lot of the in a lot of the other thriller stories. There's so many people around to help him, but of course, there's a lot of people out to get him as well.
Oh, indeed. But these Blackstone guys, I mean, they really do make it seem as if they are always omnipotent, always watching, always around every bend and everything like that.
Well, he's got to keep on watching the skies as well, you know, because...
It's crazy.
I won't say too much, but there's an aeroplane plays a bit of a part in the end, as I recall.
Spoilers!
But not really. Just...
Well, in order to see if T-Dude's little factoid there is actually the truth or not, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait until the next episode of the 39 Steps to see whether or not it is true and whether or not Richard Hannay clears his name and prevents a war. Well, probably not the latter, but
well, you know, spoilers for real life.
so for 100 years ago. Join us then, won't you? It's been a rough ride so far, but do stick with us to the end. I promise it'll be worthwhile.
See you next time, viewers.
Bye-bye!